Hello, 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 everyone. I am just waiting for Malik and Everett to tap in. Let's see, where are they? This thing acts so crazy sometimes. I don't know what goes on with Instagram, but sometimes it acts like it doesn't want to accept take the invite or let the people in or whatever. But they're invited. Just waiting for them to tap on in. Give it a second. I hope everybody is having a great week so far. Um, and I hope everybody had a great and productive day so far. And if they're not logging in soon, I know Malik is gonna be late likely, but if they're not tapping in soon, I'm gonna end the live, find out where they are, and try again. So yep, I've had a productive week. It's been fairly busy. Um, Says we're telling more followers to join. Waiting for you guys. Come on in. Come on in. Just waiting. Mhm. I've had a pretty busy week this week. Hope everybody has had an enjoyable one. A couple days left in the week. We really shouldn't be living for the weekends, but we do. Mhm. I don't know where the fellas are. Well, I know Malik, like I said, I know Malik is going to be late. Do not know what Everett is. Gonna give him one more minute. Excuse me for yawning in y'all's face. It's Wednesday. It's been a long week. We do have some good hot topics for y'all today. Um, we're supposed to be talking about a few things. We're going to be talking about that Joe Biden situation. We're going to be talking about a couple other things. Got them up our sleeve. Well, I don't know where they are, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hang up, start over. If anybody's watching, which I don't think anybody is. Wait, there he is. Here he is. Come on with the I invited you, E. Come on in. Here he comes. Yay. What's going on? There we go.
Hold on, my someone having some trouble. Okay,
Hey. And I
what's
was
going
over
on?
here just talking away to the
Uh,
people I was over here just talking away to the people. So Malik is gonna be a little late and he has some things he had to take care of. And I was just saying to our viewers, we got some good things, a couple things we want to chit chat about. Um, and I know we said it before, but we're gonna say it again. Happy Black History Month. Hopefully, y'all are tapping into our YouTube channel and catching all of our great episodes that we have up there. But yeah, how you doing today, E?
hey, it's alright. It's been a day, but happy to be here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hey, sweetie T.
Hey, how you doing today? Yeah, so we got a good one on deck. I don't know if you had everything written down, but there's a couple of things that we
I
definitely wanted to
didn't.
talk about today. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know we had written that in the what you call it, but um, there's a few topics. How's everything going on your way so far before we jump in?
This week has been a very long half a week. You know, Monday was
Yeah.
probably the Mondays Monday I've had in a long time, but things are still moving, productive. You know what I mean? So I won't complain. Um, but yeah, let's jump on into it.
All right. I don't. stuff in front of me, so
Okay,
I don't
so
know.
one of the
Yeah.
things we're going to talk about was the Joe Biden thing. So many of you guys probably have seen that it was average. I'm going to say broadcasted that or shared rather that the Biden administration has dedicated $30 million to handing out crack pipes to people to promote racial equity, I think is how it was written. But I looked up, I did a fact check, and also too, I heard from Sean, I heard something on Sean King's thing, his page, and he said the same thing as the fact checker website that I went on. Um, and pretty much what it is, it's not 100% accurate as to what they're talking about. What he's talking about is that money has been dedicated to facilities. Hey, Sandra Watkins.
Hey.
That money has been dedicated to facilities for people who have drug problems, so or have drug addiction, and those facilities are supposed to have, doctors or physicians or some sort of a professional there to give the people that come there assistance. They're also going to be providing cleaner syringes to help prevent things like other diseases and infections, such as like hepatitis and things like that. If people OD, you'll have a professional there to be able to help them, things like that. Um, so I have my feelings about all that, but I'm going to hey, Gabby, I'm going to let you go first, E.
Well, I'm glad that didn't come out to be true that it was those efforts was made in the effort to bridge, I think, diversity is what I was thinking that it was being touted as. That would definitely be a challenge and a slap in the face if the administration felt as though the best way to and to enrich the community would be to, provide clean needles. Um,
Hmm.
definitely would be a problem. But I think now that we found out that that was just disclosed and that actually that those funds were being used to go towards other healthcare services, I think that that is a good start. I definitely do, and I find it to be particularly interesting based on the fact that like now we see like the drug things kind of being addressed since it's kind of moved into like that opioid addiction and drugs such as fentanyl and stuff like that has been in the streets. But, what are we talking about? 20, 40 years later, excuse me, since crack cocaine has been introduced, now we see this being looked at as an illness, but prior to drug use wasn't seen as that. And it definitely had a disparaging impact on a lot of families. So, um, I find it to be kind of interesting how now, like, this is some of the things that's being used or as far as tactics, as far as for providing services for a lot of people. When I know you brought up an interesting point the other day when we were talking about that. So like that I find to be a little bit interesting, but overall, I do think it is great that resources are being used to help individuals that do have addiction problems. And I'm glad to hear that it's not in the usage of providing sterile needles and things of that nature.
I mean, I get the point of having sterile needles and facilities where it may be a safer environment for people to get high, but I mean, it's essentially like trap house. I don't necessarily agree with it. You know what I mean? The reason why I don't, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. They had one of those clinics on this main street. They had to move everybody because it was bad. Like you had so many addicted people in the street, a lot of them homeless, things like that. You'd see people have ODing in the middle of the street, people running up on them with Narcan, things like that. And so it's I feel like I mean, I get the purpose, right? The purpose is to provide a safer environment. But I think the problem is that what it does is it promotes almost drug use. And it gives people a new place to go get high. And so I'm not real I'm not real crazy about the idea. I get the point, but I'm definitely.
But like I said, that was told to not be correct, like you said. So I think that's the
No,
best point about it.
what was told not to be correct is that it's not supposed to be to promote racial equity. The issue behind that is they're going to start. They did claim that they were going to start in more underserving communities. The where they got that social the racial equity aspect of it is who lives in these those types of neighborhoods. Well, a lot of black people, you know what I'm saying? And so underserving neighborhoods are predominantly populated by black folks. So, you know,
Or
it's
minorities in general, depending
yeah,
on.
or minorities in general, absolutely. And so, you know, some of it could be considered racial. I can honestly see that, but I see that more as being like a classist thing than I do it seeing being a racial thing, even though it affects the race of different people of color at a higher rate than it would others. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, although yeah, we do there should be safer places, I guess. Like one of the thoughts behind it is okay, so that way you're not putting people in a place where they can burn down a building or a home or a whole neighborhood or things like that. But you know, it still makes it dangerous because you have people, kind of just traveling, going all through these neighborhoods, trying to drive. You got people banging on your car door, begging for money, doing, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people in those spaces, So I'm not real. I get, like I said, I understand the policy reason, and I think it's a good-hearted effort. I just don't think it's a smart one. I don't necessarily agree with it in that sense. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
Yeah. And so one of the other topics that we were going to touch on was this no knock warrant thing, right? So many of you guys might know a young man by the name of Amir Locke was shot and killed by police who were executing a no knock warrant out in Minneapolis. Um, Minneapolis got a lot of stuff going on with its police department. They really got to get it together because it just seems like every time we turn around, something else crazy is happening in Minneapolis, right?
Mm-hmm.
George Floyd happened out there. This happened out there. There was a couple other things that happened out there, and everything relates to the police. It's like they got to get it together. So the situation that happened with the mayor Locke is that I guess he may have been at a friend's house. I'm not 100% sure about all the details, but I think he was at a friend's house sleeping on the couch. I think he had a gun, right? And police were executing a no-knock warrant. And in them executing that no-knock warrant, when they came in, they saw him on the couch. He's scared. He pulls his gun out. He didn't point at anybody. He just pulled the gun out from under the covers, and he got shot dead. And he was a young man. He was young. So, you know, with the Breonna Taylor situation, that was not in Minnesota, but they abolished no knock warrants. No knock warrants, I understand their need. However, they're very dangerous. You consistently hearing stories about police executing no knock warrants on wrong addresses, right? And even in the South, like especially in the South you where there's the stand your ground laws, right? Somebody comes into your house and you shoot them and you shoot at them. Don't matter if it's the police or not. You don't know who it is. Somebody's coming in your house, you start shooting and they're not supposed to be there. That you can get away with that in those kinds of situations. You know what I'm saying? And so I think, like I said, I understand the reason for them, but I think it's just a dangerous game, not just for the people, but also for the police. Because if you're executing a no knock warrant at any time, people can start shooting at you. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be either you or them. It doesn't always have to be them. Sometimes it can be you. And so I think it's important to recognize how dangerous no knock warrants are. And I think that they got to find a different alternative because I just think that they're too dangerous.
Absolutely. Like you said, we understand it from the viewpoint of sometimes when you're executing these warrants or excuse me, trying to I guess acquire individuals is doing nefarious activities,
Mhm.
you definitely need to be able to move in a swift, timely manner. But at the same time, I think it still needs to be checked and rechecked to, like you said, to the point that you're making sure that you're in the right home. Because again, that's
Mhm.
one of the issues that happened with Jean Baptiste. When we look at everything that happened with that young man, officer came into the, well, not necessarily executed, excuse me, a warrant, but
Mhm.
in that situation in particular, what happened was there was a mistaken address of the officer themselves, and they had ran into this house and mistakenly killed an innocent man. And so very much incidents like that can happen again when we talk about situations like no knock warrants being executed at the wrong location. And that's why I think it is one thing that could definitely cause um a lot of more harm in our community, because we're likely the individuals who are witnessing this, instead of getting that knock on the door at 5 a.m. or something like that, like we see some people get when it comes to police raids and things of that nature. We don't see that same type of initiative there. And I remember also living, like, being from Michigan. There was a case where the young lady had lost her life due to the fact that someone had um, came in executing a warrant and ended up shooting and excuse me ended up shooting and killing a young 7-year-old girl. So there's a lot of lives that have unfortunately been taken in the execution of these warrants or warrants like these. And I definitely think that that's something that we need to address and find a better way to handle.
Yeah. What's going on in Kirkman Empire?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I agree with that. I really think that something has to be changed about it. I don't know if I have a solution. A lot of times here at the Counterpoise podcast, we try to come up with solutions, different alternatives. But um, like the purpose of a no-knock warrant is essentially to catch somebody off guard, somebody that you know that's gonna run. You know what I mean? And so it's also supposed to be safer too, because it doesn't give people an opportunity to get to their guns and things like that. So those are some of the reasons, or weapons. Let me not say guns, because they have all kinds of weapons out there. So, I get the purpose, right? But I don't know if the purpose outweighs the danger in using them, especially too when you got human error, right? It could be 123 Main Street that they go to, and they're supposed to be at 123 Main Road. Like small details like that, or apartment A1 and somebody wrote the A and it looks like a B. You know what I'm saying? Like little things like that could cost people their lives, and they're huge mistakes. And so I think, police are human. And so I know that they're held to a higher standard and often don't get a chance to make mistakes, but they are held to a higher standard. You know what I'm saying? And so to alleviate certain types of human error, you gotta find a new way. Like I said, I don't really know what that way is. Do you have any ideas?
Not at this present moment in regards to that. Maybe like a stakeout where you sit there, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
kind of
like
check
on
and see what's
TV,
going
everybody got
on
coffee and donuts
before
and hot
and
dogs.
then, well, I ain't saying it like that, but I'm just saying more so like
Hmm.
you kind of just have people kind of watch the scene before y'all go execute it. But I mean, I understand sometimes when you get information it's fresh, you have to move when you have to move. But at the
Hmm.
same time, I think that there are some ways that we can maybe have situations be better situated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it's too dangerous. You hear it happening too often with no knock warrants. And like you said, especially when they get to shooting, like let's say the person that they shooting at shooting back, then you got the innocent bystanders that are getting shot. You know what I'm saying? And it's just dangerous. And like you said, in that case in Michigan, it ended up being a 7-year-old little girl, you know? And
mhm.
that's a problem. That's a problem. It happens too often, taking away people's lives. Those are things that you can't get back. You know what I mean? I think that they need to really figure it out. they can figure out these budgets and where they're going to waste money or where they're going to spend money. I think that they have enough money to pay somebody to come up with a good idea. Stakeouts might be good. Um, paying police officers more, right? Give them some incentive, to make sure they get it right. Um, because punishing everything all the time, negative reinforcement doesn't always breed positive results. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to try to find other ways to go about doing it. And it's hard too if you think about incentivizing police and things like that, because there are also too the group of police that are out there corrupt doing all kinds of foolishness. You know what I'm saying? And they don't deserve any sort of incentive. But there are also some good ones out there that maybe they do. I don't know. That one's a tough one. That takes some serious brainstorming, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the other things that I learned today, shout out to SNOOP, Snoop Doggy Dogg. He is now the owner of Death Row Records. You
Oh
know?
yeah, I did
Yeah.
see something like that.
Yeah, he's now the owner. So he was able to acquire it. Shout out to him for that, because that just shows growth. That shows him coming full circle. He's got a new album coming out and he's going to release it through his record label, Death Row. That's got to be pretty nostalgic for him. Um, yeah, that's got to be pretty nostalgic for him, because that's kind of a big deal. If anybody and if any of our viewers know anything about Snoop and Death Row, that was a record label he was signed to. And then after Tupac passed away, things kind of started to unravel over there at Death Row. Snoop was in a situation where he was feeling pretty threatened, because he was having some issues, because he was cool with the people on the East Coast. This was in the throes of the East Coast, West Coast beef. That was pretty much perpetuated rather by the media. When Tupac was accusing Biggie of shooting him and all kinds of stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff
And
going on.
Suge when he went to the Source Awards and he was
I was
like,
about to
"Oh, the
say
East Coast
Suge
shit
Knight
got
was
no
the
love for the
CEO,
West,"
and
and
Suge was
everybody
not.
started booing, and then he was on after that.
Yeah, Suge was adding grease to the fire. You know what I'm saying?
Then
Like,
that was the day I think he made that infamous. If you don't want, the producer
yeah,
being all in your
on your
videos,
videos,
if you
yeah.
don't want, come to Death Row Records.
Right. And then
That was the
Snoop got
moment.
upset too, because then remember he got up there like, y'all ain't got no love for the West Coast.
Exactly.
Y'all ain't got no. Yeah, that was at the Source Awards. And the Source Awards was problematic back then. Like they would have these great award shows. Hey, Malik, coming on in, bro. You ready? I'll send you another invite. Um, the Source Awards were pretty, hey Malik,
Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on?
nothing
Not
much.
too
It's good
much.
for you to be able to tap in with us.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
back then the Source Awards was pretty problematic because there was a whole lot of beefing happening backstage. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Edith killing.
Hmm.
Um, and so, Snoop, when he left, Master P got him out of his deal and he went to No Limit. And pretty much Master P set Snoop up to not only get out of that situation, but he pretty much helped him to set his life up to get it on track to where Snoop is probably one of the most recognized people in the world. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
He's got
Hmm.
his his I think his wine or something. He got weed that he sells because Snoop is a weed man. You know what I'm saying? He's got his music. He's got his shows, his TV shows with Martha
I think it's
Stewart.
like aside from Shaq, like you know what I'm saying. They say he's one of the most endorsed athletes.
Yeah, he is on
Staple
a
get
lot of stuff. Y'all talking about
Yeah.
Snoop,
put
right?
on. Yeah.
hmm
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Snoop is endorsed. Like, and what a lot of people also probably don't remember or even know about Snoop, early in Snoop's career, he got charged with murder. Um, he was hanging out, I guess, in the hood somewhere in California. Somebody ran up on him and his bodyguard shot him and killed the guy, and Snoop got charged with murder. Um, I don't know if it was conspiracy or whatever it was, but murder was the case. He made a whole album off of it, a song, the whole bit. He was very remorseful about it, but he was acquitted of murder. And Snoop has stayed. out of trouble for the most part. Most of the trouble you ever seen Snoop in since then has been about weed. And he smokes a lot, so we expect to see
Nah,
that kind of stuff.
Snoop's been clean for a while. Like no
No, I'm saying
controversy.
since murder was the case, we've seen him get in trouble a
And
couple
we've
times
also
at different
seen,
airports and stuff like that with as it relates to weed, but he's been pretty much staying out of trouble.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of weed, did y'all discuss what have y'all discussed since I've been?
We talked about the Biden thing and we talked about the no knock warrants. But we can
Okay.
have you can have you chime in if you'd like. But he was
I
getting ready
was
to say
gonna say
something about
too,
Snoop.
yeah. Well, no, not about Snoop, but just about weed in particular, like and its usage in the United States. As I recently saw that Oklahoma has become one of the like biggest states for a lot of a lot of individuals who are looking to kind of cash in on that as far as they said like they have like close to 9,000 some odd dispensaries that's been opened up. They're more of one of the least regulated as far as having restrictions on people
Hmm.
and growth. And I know this is one of the things that also goes into, mental health as a lot of people, rely on that, rely on weed for that injuries, pain, things of that nature. But I thought that was interesting because it said like they have more dispensaries than Colorado, California, and I think Nevada. So
Well,
Oklahoma has
Oklahoma
like
does?
really
Wow.
been, yeah,
mm,
Oklahoma has really been growing in that space.
mm.
So that's something for
That's
people to kind
interesting.
of look out for. Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Definitely growing.
which reminds me, I did see something where it said New Jersey is the only state that has legalized marijuana that has not issued any permits to black folks in order to open their own dispensaries.
Oh wow.
New Jersey is the only state, none, not one.
Well, we
And
kind of foresaw that, right? Like, like black people were not going to be getting in, even though, we had the three strikes rule. Even if you just were caught with mere possession and you had a record, that's it. Like, that's like an automatic 20-year sentence in some cases. So we already know that's how it is. What's up, Lady Queen? 415.
Yeah, but
my
and I
blood
think one
pressure
of the things that we
may
saw that some cities were looking to do were to provide, requirements by were to provide requirements for certain states to include, minority owners. Either
Mhm.
you be able to receive a tax incentive or some other type of thing so that they could do it. I know in particular in the state of Michigan they had it where certain cities and states that they encourage programs to have individuals who maybe wouldn't be
Hey,
able
little
to
Marie.
normally qualify to receive it because of like I think depending on what type of state it is, you have to have a certain type of income, like a net worth, in order to do that. And so, a lot of us, we may not have that $1 million net worth or be able to get with a group of people to show, the
Hmm.
amount that's needed for certain states. But I think that's another one of the things that made Oklahoma so appealing to a lot of people is just the fact that it didn't have as much red tape as a lot of states normally have. So that's why they say like their state is overburdened with even trying to do like investigations and or just like looking up at different facilities to make sure that they are compliant and doing things that they need to be doing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. So, yeah, it's all right, guys. I missed the earlier conversation about the Biden thing. But some of
now we
my,
cool, Jet Jackson. We
but
see you.
yeah, some of my points that I wanted to make on the show was that like I find it interesting they can give $30 million to help people on drugs, but they can't give any money towards the student loan debt situation.
Good
Um,
point.
and also, I mean, that it's kind of, I mean, when it comes for reelection and Biden wants to run, this is going to be something that they're going to attack him with big time. Like, oh, you're giving, you're aiding drug users, and I find it funny. He was a big guy on the three strikes and all that stuff, and he's
Hmm.
like now saying, oh,
And
let
Kamala
me
Harris,
help,
we can't forget about her
let me
record
help
out
you
there in
guys,
California.
get
Speaking
high,
of too,
etc.
I don't
Yeah,
know if
we can't
anybody
forget
saw
about
that.
Kamala Harris's record out there in California when it related to weed and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
exactly.
but did
Like
you
they're
guys see that which I thought this was kind of weird, but like I read that Kamala Harris's husband, or excuse me, the vice president's husband, like was going to a school. He was visiting like a local school, and they received like a bomb threat. and I think it was like an all black school that he was visiting, and like sort of like in honor of like Black History Month or something like that. He was just going out to go speak, and recently they had to evacuate the location. So I thought that was kind of like weird on two
Hmm.
fronts. Like, we've been hearing about some HBCUs receiving bomb threats
Yeah,
recently.
they found a bunch of teenagers that were doing it.
Okay, so that has been figured out or whatnot. As far as who may have been doing some of these or sending some of these threats. I think one of the other things that I found that was interesting within regards to that too was just like they decided to send President Biden, or excuse me, not
The
President
second
Biden, but
man, the second
the
gentleman, I
the
guess that's
second
what you call
gentleman.
him.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so I thought that was interesting, but
Hmm.
yeah, I'm trying to look up right now where that
Yeah,
location
because
was.
I mean, it's pretty wild that he's actually going to be providing like kits, smoking kits, because it's
Well, no, they're
safer.
not. It's not really going to be.
No, that's no. They try to walk it back, but they're
It's
saying
the
that they're
it's
providing
syringes,
these kits, which they provided statewide in other places, but this is going to
right?
be federally funded
Right.
because it's safer, so people don't have overdoses. Like for example, San Francisco, they haven't had overdoses since they implemented the
Right.
program,
But
so it's
hold on for a
supposed to
second,
promote
Malik.
health and safety.
Hold on for a second, Malik. Let me tell you what I said, so that way you don't have to like repeat yourself and stuff. Um, so they had one of those types of clinics in Massachusetts, in Boston, as a matter of fact, and um, there were people on drugs everywhere. They were all over the place in that area.
So
You know,
Blueberry,
How you doing,
Hailey, Blueberry.
Blueberry?
Um, So, they were all over the place. People asking, begging for money, stuff like that. You'd see people passing out, going having like overdoses in the street. People running down the street with the methadone. I mean, not the methadone.
Syringe.
What's it called to bring him back to life?
defibrillator.
No, the the shot. Forgot. I can't think of the name of it. I just said
I
it a
don't
few
know any
minutes ago.
shot.
Yeah,
All I
no.
know is
So
a
when people are ODing on
defibrillator.
like heroin or something like that,
Yeah, heroin, crack.
you give them a shot of.
Yeah, so you give them a shot.
Yeah, I can't think of what it is. Anyway, you see people doing that in the street, things like
See
that.
cat. That's
CCAT.
Lady Queen.
Thank
Oh,
you.
CPAP. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and you know what I'm saying. You see them doing that, all that kind of stuff, and it's like in the street. There's children watching. There's people all over the place. It's in the middle of the day. You know what I mean? And it's hard. There's businesses there. You know what I'm saying? Because they're talking about distributing it in inner city places, like more less in print. I mean less or the end cap, yeah. More disenfranchised places. You see what I'm saying? And so that those are typically areas where there are a lot of people of color. There are a lot more businesses, right? Because a lot of those places are in the city. People don't really want to get out of their cars. Go patronize these businesses if you have people who are on drugs wandering about high. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so one thing I noticed about the city of Boston is whenever we have a liberal president in office, I notice that a lot of things happened in Massachusetts before they become like this big federal thing, right? Like when you talk about Obamacare, for example, Massachusetts has had something in place for years when Governor Deval Patrick was in office, and then when President Obama got into office, it then became federal. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just one of the things that I've come to notice. And I was saying, he was saying that it's good to try to help clean that up to get that um, to make it a safer environment. If people are going to get high,
I
I
get that,
I kind
Sam.
of I said that's what he said. I kind of disagree. I get why they're doing it, but I just think it encourages drug use.
I don't know. I just think it's a big contradiction because back in the 80s and 90s, it was nothing but you got to be tough on crime, gateway drugs, the more crime. Like, so these drugs, heroin, crack, opioids, all this stuff's supposed to be gateway drugs to further crime. So why can't we lock those people up? And I find it interesting that, the articles that I was reading, it was saying that they're targeting racial groups. So, such as,
No, they're
African
not. They're not.
Americans,
They're not targeting racial groups. I did the fact check on that. They're what they're doing is they're sending it to more disenfranchised areas.
disenfranchised groups. I
No
mean, they
areas.
use a bunch of
Let
words,
me
but
Yeah, but it's
I
not
mean,
groups, it's
that's
areas.
just.
Right. But that's what I was saying.
I
It's
mean,
not
they
groups.
use a bunch of stuff.
Hold
Disenfranchised
on, but
areas,
it's not
minority
groups, it's
groups, blah
areas.
blah
Well,
blah.
see, this is what I was saying. It's not necessarily groups, it's areas, which happen to be heavily populated by people of color. You see
But
what I'm
long
saying?
story short, they're targeting black folks.
But I don't
I
think
mean, that's what it
no,
said.
no. When you do the fact check, that's not what it says. They're not targeting black folks.
That that's what
They're
the
targeting
Human Health Services Department said.
no, they did not. And that's what I'm saying.
I
When I
mean
did
that's
the
what the article I read said.
right. And so
So I mean,
I did
unless they're lying.
no, I fact checked on from two different places, two or three different places, and the other those places said something totally different. It's not black folks specifically. What they're saying is that they're
Right, right, exactly.
hold on, what it says is that they're targeting these disenfranchised areas. The fact that black folks are being
Who lives in
more, hold on, let
disenfranchised
me finish
areas?
what I'm saying. The fact that black folks are being more disproportionately affected by it has everything to do with the fact that you're targeting the area where more black people live. You see what I'm saying? And so the other thing is I wanted to address that you said is why lock them up. I get why you say that, but I don't think that when people are addicted to drugs, they're sick. They need to be in a hospital. You
Yeah,
see what
yeah,
I'm
but
saying?
the thing is about that, Sam, they were addicted in the 80s and 90s when the drugs
Right.
was
And that's why I said
planted
I
into
get.
our
That's why I
communities
said I get
by the
what you're
government.
saying.
But now
But I think
it's a
that
totally 180 because different groups of people are highly addicted
just
to these
call a spade
different
a spade.
drugs.
White people,
So
more white people
that's
are
what I'm
having
saying,
problems, and so now it's a healthcare problem. We can just go ahead and call it what it is. We
and
don't have
that's
to sugarcoat that. And I
yeah.
get that. And but the thing is, I don't think that it's a situation where everybody needs to be locked up because back in the 80s and 70s, people were getting locked up because not for nothing. It is said that the government introduced those drugs into the communities anyway. Now you're enabling them to continue to use drugs. And that's the reason why I disagree with it. But at the
I
same
mean, he
time, I
just
think that
contradicted himself. Is all I'm saying. It's like you want to be tough on crime, be tough on crime. I mean, because
right.
the
But
mere
the thing is,
possession
I
of
think
stuff
that
used to get you in years of jail time.
right. But I don't think that jail is the solution. Just because somebody said that back in the 80s doesn't mean that that's what it has to be in 2022.
Yeah,
But
I
my thing
believe
is, then, if
I
we're
was
gonna do
saying
that,
that I was going to say that
then
maybe
have that same
rehabilitation or
energy
something.
when we recur to the individuals who were locked up in those past. Because again, we
that's
talk
what I
about
was
this
going to
all the
say.
time, and it's one of the bigger issues. Drugs is one of the biggest things that help tear down our community, along with other
Right.
aspects. But it's one of the biggest things that help take a lot of men away from their families, whether it's
Right.
usage and or
Selling.
selling. So
Right.
if you're gonna feel some type of way, if you cutting some type of deals on things, excuse me, um, bring that same energy to individuals who got left behind, 20 years,
And that,
like I said, 40 some odd years ago, who's
right.
still
That's what I
facing
was.
those type of issues or challenges that came about because of that. And
And
I'm gonna let y'all go
that,
ahead and finish on this. I got one
yeah,
more
that's
thing, and I want to
actually
talk
what I
about
was going to say. That's actually what I was going to say. E. Put those people in hospitals and take them other people out of jail. Clear their record. You see what I'm saying? Because you you got to keep that same energy. I think all three of us are in
Yeah, they're
agreement
not.
that they need to keep the same energy. I just think we all don't necessarily agree about the resolution. I think that if I do believe that addiction is a healthcare problem, and I think that rather than throwing everybody in jail, because that doesn't do anything but clog up
Yeah,
jails. And
I agree that
jails are
jail is
full
not
of
the
people.
solution.
Right. Jails are full of people with mental health problems and people with drug problems. And then you got a couple people that actually just committed crimes because they felt like it.
Yeah,
You see what
whatever
I'm saying?
happened to rehabilitation? Whatever happened to prevention? Whatever happened to those things?
Right. You know what I'm saying? And
Like
so,
now it's
well,
like okay,
we
you're
got a
addicted.
comment real quick
Let's
too.
make it safer for you to continue drug use.
right. Go ahead,
Lady
B.
Queen stated that I came across people who were locked up because of drugs for a few years, and when they were released, they ended up relapsing and overdosing. And I mean, that is the case. A lot of times with addiction, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people are likely to fall back into those habits, especially if they don't have the resources to kind of get them away from that environment,
And
to
support.
get
Yeah.
them into, you know what I'm saying, the type of treatment that they may need so that they can kind of get the right type of balance that they need of their chemical
And
imbalances
support.
that they've been having. Support, of course, but that's what I mean by support is like that type of resources that
But also,
one
too,
that
there's
they
the
can
mental health aspect to
I,
addiction,
I
right? And they
understand
need
that.
that help, too.
Thank you. So what I was trying to say was is that like the people can get a chance to get away into a new environment to go ahead and receive the type of substance treatment that they may need to receive as far as different drugs to wean them off and to get their body balanced, and then also the mindset, the mental toughness, the fortitude to try to tell yourself what can you control, how can you kind of control and curb certain habits that they have. But I do know that it is very very much a challenge because I witnessed an individual who was going through treatment, if you will, and I seen how even with the medication that they receive, how people will look to try to overdose and over abuse them, to the point that it was sad. Man was looking to attack his grandmother or mother for some of his medication. So it's a very serious illness, and I definitely don't want to take light on it to anyone, but I also think that it is just sad to see that this is where we are as a people, but it's also interesting to see how the government is looking to approach it within certain rights to us. But real quickly, I was going to transition to another story that I read, which recently it was stated that there was a couple who was just recently arrested this week for um, looking to launder $4.5 billion in stolen crypto using NFTs. So they basically stole this crypto from different accounts on OpenSea, and then they looked to try to they stole it in Bitcoin, and then they looked to try to use that same Bitcoin to acquire NFTs and things of that nature. So they showed it looked as though this is a younger couple, but they had stolen an alleged $4.5 billion that they had, and they were looking to try to use that crypto to kind of acquire NFTs and make sales with their purposes.
Jesus, well that's pretty crazy. I know the U.S. government sees like $3.6 billion worth of cryptocurrency that was lost, or I guess stolen or hacked or something like that. So you know, I don't know if that's connected at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the things I wanted to quickly say about the substance abuse thing, and then I'm gonna comment about that also too. Lady Queen, she has a comment. But one of the things that I wanted to say when you just were talking about how you saw somebody, responding to getting his medication and things like that, in such a horrible way, right? One of the
Hmm.
things that I think is important for us to say, one of the other reasons why they have these types of clinics is like when people want to get off of drugs, such as crack and heroin and things like that, the withdrawal that they go through can actually kill them. So they actually need medications. This is for people that don't know that they need methadone and things like that to help them to get off of those drugs, because they are physically addicted to them. And going through withdrawal in and of itself could actually kill them. So, I get that aspect of it, but I think that they need to build hospitals and not places where people can just get high.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Like,
Mhm.
treatment, prevention, rehabilitation. Not okay. Let's just make it safer so you're not overdosing at a high rate. I mean, that's basically what they were saying. I was like, what? Because they're like, oh, well,
Well, the
if
problem,
you're
but the problem
injecting
you can't
it,
get in
there's
front
more
of it.
infectious
Yeah,
diseases that could spread.
absolutely. And
Your
if you leaving these needles in the
the death
street,
rate's
there's other people
higher
who can
and
just
stuff like
run and
that.
touch them. There's a lot of stuff. Even individuals who's using older needles and using older
Yeah,
items
that
to,
was what they're
to
basically saying. Like, passing out the crack pipes essentially is a safer route. But I'm like, no, because three strikes, we have all these rules against black people, locking them up. Now it's like, okay, there's other groups of people. We all know some of those groups that are more addicted to some of these substances that are now classified as a health issue, not a violent crime issue or a gateway drug to crime issue. So now it's totally different.
Mhm.
So it's like a very slap to the face to black people, in my opinion. It's like, okay, well, we know we did all this stuff against y'all, was locking y'all up for drugs that we injected into your community, but here you go. You can smoke your stuff in a safer environment. Come to our center. You can get high all you want. I'm like,
Yeah,
ah.
it's more about those syringes too, though, than it is
Yeah, I
about
know it
crack
was about
pipes.
that, but I don't like it. I mean,
Yeah, I don't either. I don't like it either.
and it's going to be a terrible look when he's going for re-election, or it's going to be a terrible look for the Democrats. Period.
I mean, I say this every time we
Horrible.
talk about politics. We just need somebody else. I don't want to see Donald Trump. I don't want to see Joe Biden. We just need somebody
But I
else.
mean, for the Democrats, that's not a good look.
We need somebody else. I don't, at this point,
I
just
need somebody. I
somebody
need
else.
somebody that's gonna come through
Yeah,
and do the
it's
right
just
thing by the
when I read the
citizens.
article, I was
That's
like, this
looking to
can't be
have to
real, but
carry
it
on.
is real.
Yeah, what you
Over the
said? What
system we
did you
have.
say, Everett?
I said I don't think we just need somebody. I think we need somebody who's going to go ahead and make things right for the individuals who are having to, deal with the society that what I'm saying. The boomers are about to be kind of checking out of,
Hmm.
because we've been able to kind of witness them, experience the American dream at a level that a lot of us are hoping to achieve,
Hmm.
and others may be able to have, but we would love to leave for other future generations. But
But
right
hey,
now,
Biden, he might put a black lady on the Supreme Court. All's
uh,
forgiven.
you feel me? And like you say, and that's a big
I'm not
might.
saying
That's
all
if they even
forgiven, but
let
you
them.
just still need to put that lady on there.
He needs to put the right person on the court. That's what I
Mm.
think.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, but they was gonna give y'all a black
Preferably a
lady
black woman.
on a quarter though, right? So we were supposed to get them on a dub
Oh,
and
that
still
reminds
waiting.
me. Texas put a seat on a bus.
Oh yeah, for Rosa Parks in honor of her for Black History Month. Shout out to Vic too.
Hey, what's up,
Vic's
Vic?
cool,
Like,
man. Y'all talk
why?
your
Like,
thing.
don't get me wrong. I love me some Rosa Parks just like the next person, but
I mean, the
Texas,
symbolic
you
gestures
can't
need to stop.
Texas, you can't say we're not teaching critical race theory, but we're gonna designate a seat on a bus.
Well. Mind you, now I'm glad you said that, because we don't want you reading certain books and learning certain things because it makes us feel some way. Trust and believe, the ones that's gonna feel some way aren't riding that bus. Aren't riding that bus. The
And not
ones
only
that's
that,
riding
they're gonna
that
want to
bus,
know who is Rosa Parks and why she got a seat on the bus.
well, I'm like I said, I
It's
don't
all
want you to go
backwards.
a
It's
little
back.
further with
It's
that one. What
back
you mean by that?
backwards, and
What
it
you mean
doesn't
by
make
that?
sense. So, like, if
Right.
you're not learning about race, so that caps your ability to learn anything about Black history,
Well, they just
Well,
even
might
if it,
just take
well,
even if
bits
it's
and
taught.
arguably, it
pieces
ain't
and
just
distort
that.
some
No,
things.
The
hold on,
people who
listen.
ride in the bus
If
likely know who Rosa Parks was.
But that's because their family had to teach them because they ain't gonna learn it in school. Think about
No,
it in
no.
terms
What I'm
of
saying, Sam, is they may still teach Rosa Parks, but it's just going to be
how
from a
you gonna teach
different
about Rosa Parks without
perspective.
teaching. But how you gonna teach about Rosa Parks if you can't teach about segregation? You can't
Um,
teach about making Black people sit in the back of the bus because that's critical
well,
race
they
theory. That makes
Well, these people are very crafty and slick. So what
it's
they might try
it's
to pull
it's a
is, there was disagreements in the bus system. There's issues with the bus system. Rosa Parks is a bus hero or something. Some crap like that.
whatever.
That's how they're gonna spin it to the way people in their minds are like, now that Rosa Parks was the one that was able to make everybody be able to sit wherever they want on the bus, blah blah blah.
But then
Some
the next
kumbaya stuff.
inquisitive child is gonna say, why couldn't they sit on the bus in the first place where they wanted? You
Yeah,
see what I'm saying? So it's like
don't worry
they're
about
just
all
not.
that. See, you
I
asking too
just see
much
them trying to
questions
eradicate all of it from
before
the
you get
history
an F.
book. I
You
just see
ask
them
too
trying
much
to
questions
eradicate
before you
all of it
get
from the
Right.
history book.
bumped
It
out of
just
class.
doesn't make sense. It's foolish. You see what I'm saying? I
Absolutely.
think it's absolutely foolish. What is the point of doing
Well,
that? It doesn't.
you just don't want to teach that white people are inherently racist. That's like their main goal, even though, like, okay, white people aren't inherently racist, but there's been a lot of
There's a
racist things
history of
done
racism.
in the past by
Right. There's a
a large
history of
segment
racism.
of
It
white
doesn't make
people.
anybody inherently anything, but there is
Yeah,
the fact still remains that there's a history of racism. So
yeah.
I
And it's
mean,
still going throughout this country, so it's not gonna go away. They can try the critical race theory all they want, but they're not. I mean, white supremacists aren't changing, so it's not gonna go away. They can make all the rules they want. It just further strengthens the resistance to white supremacy, in my opinion. Like the more
Mhm.
outrageous they get, the better it gets for us because it'll bring more people to our cause as Black people here in this country,
Mhm.
resisting oppression.
Mm-hmm.
it can help everybody, right? White supremacy oppresses everybody except white supremacists. So they don't care if you're white, really, if you're an ally, or if
Right.
you're, whatever different group, ethnic group, or race you are. They don't care unless you're a white supremacist. So
Right.
that's my thought on
And
that.
then the other topic, Malik, that we talked about was the no knock
Hey,
warrant
what's going
thing.
on,
Hey,
myself?
Oh,
Julian.
okay. The no knock warrant. Yeah, I
Hey,
read a little
myself.
article about that. How it was in Minneapolis, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Amir, I think it was his first name. I'm
Amir
starting
Locke was his name.
Amir Locke. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He was just sleeping. His mother said he sleeps on his stomach underneath the cover. So I guess he reached under his gun. And people barged in his house, which he owned legally in his house, right? And they just killed him, right? And the mom said that they executed him. It was worse than the killing. And yeah, I think the rule needs to change because it's human life at risk here. So I think unless they're like, I think they need to be more strict with the emergency exceptional circumstance if they want to keep that. They need to be more strict. Like there has to be something that gives you that hint of an emergency circumstance. But like the way the facts let out according to that article, I don't think it should have led to that. Um, but I don't know all the facts on it. So. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but in general, from the no knock warrant, I think they should do away with it or be more strict with the exception to that rule.
Yeah. We were trying to come up with some resolutions. Being more strict with the rules is a good alternative because E and I were over here a little bit at a loss. We just
Yeah,
know
yeah. I
you
think if
gotta
they
go
want to
away.
keep it, just be more strict. Like you have to have some type of valid reason why
Well,
you're
I
not
also think I felt like, yeah, like not only just like
knocking and
the
giving an
application of it,
announcement.
I think that you have to require, you know what I'm saying, more investigatory information to be done. Like, you know what I'm saying? Make them have to maybe stake that place out for a little bit, for a little while, just before they run in there. You know what
Because
I
like
mean?
unless
I
an
get it
officer's life's in
if they
danger, why
understand
do
it,
you
like if
need to
it's
go
worried
into that
about,
house?
possibly,
Or unless
yeah,
somebody
like
else's life's in danger. I think if there's no life currently in danger, or you don't have a report of someone's life in danger, I don't think you really need to go in there without announcing yourself.
but see,
Like
the
Yeah. And
argument
that,
could
that
be
be a
that the
strict
drugs
exception.
getting out there or whatever, eventually will lead to danger,
I mean,
further
I
danger.
understand drugs, but I feel like if a life is not at risk, you shouldn't.
I think Malik, and I'm not 100% sure. Like I said in the beginning, I don't know all the facts because I thought he was staying at a friend's house, but I don't know.
No, it
I
was
just
his
know.
house.
Okay. But what I do, what was I about to say? Um, Never mind. It'll come back to me. I forgot what I was gonna say. Um, oh, I know what it was.
Oh, what's
They
up,
may
Max?
have been looking for a murderer. Somebody killed somebody else. So I don't know whether or not there was hot pursuit, but I do think that that's a good point, right? Because there's a distinction between looking for a murderer and looking for someone whose life is actually in active,
I
immediate,
would
imminent
say
danger.
even if you're looking for a murderer, unless he has
But
somebody
that this
kidnapped,
is
I
but
still
this
think you should.
But that's what I'm saying, Malik. I think that there's a distinction between looking for someone who just killed somebody versus looking for someone who has someone else's life in imminent, immediate, active danger.
Yeah, like a
Like,
kidnapper or something
yeah,
like that, or
yeah, yeah.
but just some drugs or something. If it was about drugs, come on now, that's not exceptional circumstances in my opinion. But yeah, if it's like a murderer, maybe. But I think you just need to narrow it and make it more strict, and I think that might help, or just get rid
Hmm.
of it.
Yeah,
I'm fine with either or, honestly.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, I definitely want to let everybody know. You know, you can catch us here every Wednesday. You know, we
Hmm.
start at like around 8:30, as well as Saturday at 1 p.m. You can find our episodes posted live on our YouTube page, Counterpoise Podcast. I want to thank everybody for tapping in tonight, for sure, for sure. And hope you guys have a good rest of the week, for sure. Appreciate all the
Thank you
comments,
for
all the
tuning in,
hearts,
guys.
everything, you guys. Much love.
Absolutely. Your socials. Oh, yeah.
You guys can catch me at that guy or Counterpoise EV underscore EV, excuse me, CP underscore EV. And yeah, let me know if you guys got any topics, anything you want us to talk about, whatever y'all got on your mind, tap in.
Yeah, you guys can catch me at Malik_counterpoise. And also my personal Instagram, Malik and Foster. That's for all social media handles. You can catch me there.
Yep, yep. And you can catch me on Instagram at Samantha ESQ underscore counterpoise, on Facebook at Samantha ESQ space counterpoise. I know dropped the YouTube. You can check us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram on Counterpoise Podcast. So we love y'all. Thank y'all so much for tapping in, joining into the discussion of all these hot topics that we have going on right now in our society. We love y'all. Make sure you check us out on Saturday. We look forward to it.
All right, guys.
Peace.
Hey
Peace.
guys, peace.